Thank you very much. Could you just raise your hand to ask a question? Otherwise, the floor is open for Faf du Plessis. Yes?
Go on, Corky.
Faf, Dominic Cork, Sky Sports News. First of all, the anticipation of taking on, the world's best at the moment in England in the opening, obviously, game of the World Cup. How are your team set up for it?
Morning, everyone. Corky, how's it? Yeah, very excited. England's a tremendous cricket team. They've showed that over the last 24 months, playing real good cricket. First game of the campaign. Yeah, just for me, it's just excitement. Obviously, England has been the favourites tag, so we're going to have to play some really good cricket. But for us, it's not just the first game. It's a 6-week period, and tomorrow is just the first step.
About Dale Steyn, big loss, obviously, the experience of him and being injured for this first game?
Yeah, he's a big loss to our team. We did expect it when we picked the squad. He wasn't quite, probably about 60% when the squad was picked, so we anticipated for this to happen. But yeah, fit Dale Steyn makes our bowling attack a very, very strong one. So tomorrow will be a little bit of chopping and changing to make sure we get a balance that we think can take on England.
Without Dale, in the lead-up, you've been talking about how you want to out-bowl teams and, really aggressive bowling strategy. How does that change without Dale?
Yeah, it does change. As I said, one of our X factors, potential that we had was a really, really strong attack in terms of pace. Steyn, Rabada, Ngidi is a real threat in English conditions. So that changes, and as I said to you guys before, that's plan A for the World Cup in terms of our balance, what we're looking to achieve. Now it's just a real reshuffle and looking to plan B and C.
Faf, presumably with that reshuffle, guys like Dwayne Pretorius and Chris Morris come strongly into the conversation and might even be competing with each other. Just on that, is it pitch conditions that sort of decide the contest between those two in terms of their bowling?
Yeah, for us, England is a team that plays very aggressively. We all know that. So for us as a leadership group, it's trying to find how can we be most attacking and trying to get wickets. Obviously, that was with Dale included, but that changed now. So we'll set up our team to try and make sure we can get guys in the team that can get wickets. There's no point in trying to play a defensive style of cricket against England because they've shown that they can take any bowling attack on the day. So yeah, we'll try and pick our team to try and be as positive in team selection as possible that we can be.
Faf, if you can just chat about the likes of KG and Lungi will be making their World Cup debuts, and just the fact that there's going to be so many retirements, a handful of retirements after this World Cup, what does it represent for their careers, a crowning moment in a sense, even though they've played a lot of international cricket already?
I'm part of them.
I didn't mention you.
Yeah, the young guys in our team, Nikiti, or not so young, Simone Rabada, but obviously young in terms of his first World Cup. Markram, guys like that, their experiences of World Cup cricket is winning the World Cup under 19 World Cup. So they're just excited to get it going, get it started. And I think they'll make some huge impact in this tournament. Rabada and Gidi for us has been really good over the last 12 months. So yeah, me personally really excited to see what the young guys, how well they're going to step up in this tournament. And then the older guys, yeah, as you said, some guys have stated that they finishing up this tournament. But that's not the focus for me. The focus on making sure that we can look at playing the style of cricket we want to do, and whether that guarantees success for some of the older guys or not, that's not the focus. They're here to make sure that they enjoy every day as best as possible. I think when you get a little bit older, that becomes a little bit more natural. You take the pressure of, this is something I have to do or need to do, to something that I love to do. So you go back to that younger version of yourself. So hopefully that will free some of the older guys up a little bit.
Faf, it kind of similar. It's your first World Cup match as captain. How are you kind of dealing with that? Is it a big deal at all? You've been captain in big matches as well before this, but first World Cup match, does it kind of change the way you think about how you go out on the field?
Not really. As I've said a lot of times, my most enjoyable times playing cricket is when I do captain any cricket team, and especially this one. So I'm just excited that it's another opportunity for me to go and do that. Get my brain nice and active on the field, and tactically thinking about the game all the time. I just feel that puts me in the space that I want to be playing cricket. So it's just another opportunity for me to do that.
Faf, just two quick questions. Firstly, Andile Pechlukayo, do you see him as sort of the most important part of what you got of that link between, can you say that Andile is probably the missing link and that he will be a very important part in your team? And then just secondly, what message do you have for the people at home, and have you been receiving any messages from any South Africans?
Okay. Andy is, we see him as he's stepped up in big games for us in the past. So once again, I think it'll be great to see what he can do this tournament. On wickets that, obviously it looks like the English conditions has been playing on some really flat wickets. And his skill sets that he has with the ball in terms of these mix-ups, I think is going to be important, especially when teams get going. So hopefully he can start the tournament well. He's playing some really good cricket. He's in form. So I'm hoping that he's that missing link that you're talking about. And then your second part of the question, people back home. Naturally, any player in any team the day before a World Cup would be getting probably 1 or 2 more WhatsApps than normally. So for me, that's no different. It's just about making sure that there is probably a little bit more noise around a first game. It's probably a little bit more noise because it's a World Cup. But for me, as captain, it's about making sure that we can try and put the noise to one side and just relax as much as we can, try and have fun, control the things that we can do. Practice hard, practice well, have a good culture in our good language in our culture, and then completely release the outcome, and then hopefully that frees up the players to play their best cricket.
What message do you have for them?
For the fans back home, live from cloudy England, Faf du Plessis saying hi. Hopefully we can play some good cricket.
You mentioned there that England going in as favourites, there's a huge degree of expectation on them as hosts. How can that play into your hands as a team? Is it a motivation for you to sort of take down the hosts and favourites at the start? Can you sort of spoil the party? Is that one of the messages you can? There's an opportunity there for you to make a real statement as a team.
Yeah, I suppose they would be saying what I'd be saying. Whether you're favourites or not, you still have to make sure that you play some good cricket. They deservedly have got the favourite tag because they are the home nation. And they have been playing, like I said before, really, really consistently good cricket. But for me, as I also said earlier, that you're going to face so much different opposition right to this tournament. If you get too focused on the opposition, you can get distracted. So it's just about really trying to stay present and what we can control, and that's how we practice, how we get ourselves ready for games. And then if it means on the day that we have a little bit less pressure on us to try and just go out there and be free and play the way that we want to, because we are going in as underdogs. There's not a lot of people talking about South Africa winning the World Cup. Then if that releases some players in the team, then that's great.
Buff, when you lose someone like Dale Steyn, who's obviously a wonderful player but has such a big presence on the field, what does that do? How does that change your role as captain? I'm sure there's a bit of a void there. Do you step into that, or how do you manage that?
I think it's always crucial that whatever, good or bad, it's always important that you have someone stepping up into that. It's been happening quite a bit the last year or two in our team, so I'm used to that. There's always a lot of talk about stuff that's not relevant to the team itself. Maybe probably 90% of the time being at the forefront of that. So I'm used to making sure that you get the guys in a different direction and get them pulling to one direction together as a team.
Faf, if you can just talk a bit about the
the group's mental approach to this tournament. A lot's been said about flying under the radar and just focusing on enjoying the cricket, not putting too much pressure on the fact that it's a World Cup. But as you go along, do you think that mindset's going to be more difficult to maintain as you go from big game to big game to big game?
Yeah, as we've been speaking quite a bit about that, I think the focus for us is making sure that we really have a good time. As I said earlier, that perhaps comes with age and being to one or two of these events before, is that you do treat these events as more important or bigger games than you normally do. And I think in that lies a recipe for us that we shouldn't follow. You know, it's a case of making sure that we have a really good time together, because that's when you are most relaxed. You know, when you are intense and desperate, I think that's when you make mistakes. So for us, it's trying to make sure that we don't go too high or too low when we're winning or losing. We just have quite a calm intensity in our dressing room in terms of the way that we speak. You know, if we win tomorrow against England, it won't be we've just won the World Cup. We'll treat it exactly the same as when we lose tomorrow. And I think that's really important for us as a group to have that same outlook for the whole tournament.
Faf, we're expecting some big scores. There's a lot of talk about maybe even 500 or something like that. What are you looking forward to in terms of big runs? And do you prefer high-scoring games or low-scoring ones?
As a batter, I'm just looking forward to getting started on these wickets. It is nice to bat on, but yeah, I think every ground that you play on, similar to the rest of the world, you got to make sure that you first see what the conditions is like, and then make your game plan from there. To just come out and think today we're going to score 500 and just start swinging from the boots, then it's probably not going to be the best way to go. You know, overhead conditions does play a role sometimes in England. You know, we know that the first hour at a morning start games, generally, yeah, there's a bit of spice in the wicket and the ball moves around a little bit, and then it gets much better. So yeah, for me, I'm not focusing on 500 as a score. The way we've been trying to play the last year is trying to be a little bit more positive, more aggressive, and I think you've seen that in our style of play. So just excited to get going.
Faf, you're playing England tomorrow, and obviously if all the talks about their batters and how strong they are, but you've also got Kagiso Rabada, who's arguably one of the best fast bowlers in the world. When he's standing on top of his mark, are you telling him to have a real crack or just hit his areas, or what's the plan with him?
Yeah, KG's to be a talent like he is. He doesn't need any guidance from me. I can try and speak into him a little bit from a tactical point of view, but I certainly am not trying to tell him how to bowl. He knows much more than I do. So it's just about letting him free. You know, he's a world-class athlete, and what people like him does best is they want a stage to perform. And this World Cup will be a stage for KG to once again show the world what kind of bowler he is.
Faf, you spoke about how Dale was your plan A. Coming into the tournament, was Hash your plan A, and how relieved are you about his, two recent scores?
There's a lot of clicking there for cleaning my ear. Yeah, Hash, as I said before, it's important to have form. Hash would be saying to you that in the last year he perhaps didn't score the runs that he would have liked. But once again, that's in the past now, and Hash has trained hard over when everyone was at the IPL, trained hard with Dale Benkenstein, and definitely looking really good in the first two warm-up games, looking like the Hash that we know. He loves batting in England, so yeah, he's certainly back to where we wanted him to be, so that's great for us as a team.
Faf, hi. Yeah. You were part of a couple of tournaments. You said, these tournaments are important, different. You look at them differently. There was desperation you talked about. A lot of conversation this time is centered around other teams, say England, India, South Africa, perhaps not as much in that conversation. Does that help with that desperation, with that pressure that you guys are maybe not that much in the conversation?
Yeah, as I said earlier, I don't think, whether we come into this tournament as favourites or as underdogs, you still have to go out on the park and play cricket and perform to win a World Cup. So for me, that's not as much the emphasis. It's more the outlook that we've been trying to have as a team and trying to get over that hurdle. And as I said, before in interviews, learnings from myself that I can speak of. This is in the past, you perhaps feel like you have to do more. You have to be a Superman on the day to try and win a World Cup. And for me, that's not what we need to do. We are a good cricket team. Our results has proven that. We need to stay present in the fact that what we've got on our team is good enough to beat any team on the day. And trust that, not go away thinking that you need to do, today I need to be the man that scores 180 of 60 balls, because that doesn't give us results. So for me, it's about making sure as a team, as I said, we can just be nice and calm and positive. And even if we make mistakes, to make sure that we completely forget about that mistakes and just come back into the present and focus on what's ahead.
Last two, please, just stay in that camp.
Yeah, Faf, a couple of years back, you had said that I used to be a very macho guy. My language was filthy. Even in IPL, I would sit in the back of the bus and try to be cool. Now I don't do that anymore. I don't want to be that kind of a guy. So what brought this change? Was the captaincy, and why do you don't want to be cool?
That is an interesting quote. Hopefully I'm still cool. I'm still trying to be with the youngsters in the team, my ears still gel this morning, so trying to fit in with the cool kids. But like anyone sitting here today, whether you're playing cricket or in business or in life or in sport, it's no different. The older you get, the wiser you get. Being a father now, everything gets put into perspective. Cricket is a very important aspect of all of our lives, but it's not everything. Life, there's a lot more bigger things than winning and losing games of cricket, and that perhaps has changed for me. The fact that I'm not no longer desperate. I want to win cricket games, but I don't need to win them. And I think as a team, hopefully that can filter through. Because no one told me that 4, 5 years, 8 years ago playing in these events. And hopefully that gives the guys and the rest of the team just a little bit of more of a relaxedness to them, that the absolute worst case scenario, you don't make it. And that's okay, life will go on. And then if players are a little bit more free and can just play their best version of themselves, and that's great. That's all I'm looking for.
Faf, there's been an awful lot of talk about England's batting and that, but surely their bowling attack should also be part of the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you don't win just games with a bat. Obviously, you've got to defend and get wickets as well. So they're all-round very good team, and that's why their win ratio has been very good. Obviously, adding Arch into the team is a different dynamic. Not a lot of teams have played against him, perhaps just a few guys in the IPL. So the batters would have to take a few balls just to get used to his action. He is a little bit different in terms of quite a slowish run-up and a very quick arm action. So yeah, their bowling will be just as important. They've got wicket takers. Their spinners does well in these conditions, but their biggest asset is the fact that they're very balanced. They've got a very long batting lineup. I don't think any other teams in the world where you have all your bowlers that can come in and score runs at the end. So it's more their balance that is their real strength.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.